How was Jimmy Ward's first day back on the practice field?
It was good. Getting him out there working. It was good to see him. He moves around just like he was moving around, just like he did in OTAs.
What was his workload? Was he?
It was individual, going through, just getting lathered up and all that stuff. So hopefully we get a little bit more work in today.
How much could you kind of work with him just on the mental side of stuff? What kind of things were you doing with him during the time when he wasn't able to practice?
Coach Hafley was working with him individually to make sure that he was up to speed from that regard. And Jimmy, credit to him, he took it upon himself to make sure that he was putting in the extra work from a mental standpoint to get ready.
He has to learn, before the season begins. What's the hardest aspect of his job?
Playing middle third safety is a very instinctual position. You got to be able to see it. To me, the hardest part is being able to track and tackle, coming out of the middle of the hole when the defense gets creased and it's him in the back one-on-one. That's the hardest tackle in football, in my opinion. Those are the reps that he hasn't gotten. Because even when we're not live, every one of those reps are so important to those guys to put themselves through that mental strain of every rep being a tackling rep. And that to me is going to be the hardest part, to make sure that his angles in pursuit are perfect. But as far as the instinctual part, understanding offense and where he needs to be, I think he'll be smooth in transition.
Don't expect to play him on Sunday night, do you?
We haven't talked about that yet.
When do you expect to talk about it?
Sometime this week when Kyle's ready.
Sen'Derrick marks a three technique. Is that where he's going to be playing?
Yeah, he's a three, and just like the rest of the guys, he's here to compete. He's had a good past. He's a good football player. We're just trying to work him into shape. He hasn't been through OTAs, training camp, and all that stuff, but give him a chance to play these next two games and see what he's got.
Couldn't Dial played at that position at all this offseason and training camp?
He's been swinging between three and nose, and Q Dow's done a very good job also. It's we have a good problem. We have a lot of good quality depth on the defensive line, and so we're just trying to sort it out to see which ones give us the best chance to win.
What has it been about Eli Harold that's allowed him to be in the running for that starting Sam spot?
Eli's very athletic. I mean, they're both very. They're built the same. I mean, they're if you're looking at Eli and Ahmad, they're very athletic. They're both very strong. They both love the game, and so it's a good problem. You got two very good football players, and that thing's not even close to done yet. And but having another person who can add value to that position has been a bonus. So for Eli, his athleticism, his violence, his love for the game, that's all been an exciting part for him.
How has Navarro Bowman transitioned to this new scheme on defense? Are we going to see something that we haven't seen out of him before?
God, I don't know if the guy gets like 150 tackles in his sleep. So he's, for when you're dealing with a guy like Navarro, they're instinctually they find the ball, they make tackles, they get PBUs. That's what they do. I think he'd be a fit for any scheme.
What have you seen from Tank Carradine, and what do you like about him? When we spoke with you last time, you said he was a dominant edge setter. Aside from that, let's talk about his pass rush. Can you see him playing inside as a three technique?
He might get some opportunities. I think he's damn near an elite six technique. And to be able to create pocket push from an edge, I think that's where his home is. And there's no shame in that. I think he's pretty freaking good at it. And that's where Tank's strength is. Will he get some inside rush? Yes. I mean, he has some success with it with Denver. But as a six, dominating tight ends and being able to transition from run thought to pass on first and second down, I don't know if you'll find much better than that in the league.
Committed to playing Bowman on all three downs during the season, or have you considered platooning him with more of a pass cover specialist like Ray on third down?
We're I don't want to close out anything with in terms of even between Bowman and Foster. It doesn't matter. We're going to put on the best 11 players to give us a chance, matchup-wise, to make sure that we're in position to be successful on game day. So if it means putting in extra DB, if it means putting in 2 extra DBs, if it means taking out a D lineman, and whatever it is we have to do to put ourselves in position to be successful based on the matchups that we're facing, we'll take care of as a staff.
What have you seen from Bowman in coverage specifically so far?
He's been good. I mean, he has no deficiencies. Bowman's looked really, really good, both coverage-wise. He still has his range. He's got good quicks in and out of his breaks. So I'm really not worried about all that stuff. But at the same time, when you're looking at a guy like all these tight ends that are around now, you're looking at Jimmy Graham, Greg Olsen, Gronkowski, and there's matchup problems. And so how you're going to handle those matchup problems will always be a discussion. I do think they can easily cover them between him and Foster. They can easily cover a tight end, but you'll always have those discussions to make sure that you're doing what's best for the organization.
Been kind of just peeking ahead in a couple of weeks when you guys face a back like Christian McCaffrey coming out of the backfield. Would that fall more on Reuben Foster to cover the back coming out?
I haven't thought about it.
What about this upcoming game, Dalvin Cook? I mean, I assume that gives you a nice warm-up for things that you're going to see during the regular season. For us, I know we're going through the rough, the run-through and all that stuff. The game plan stuff is still more about us than it is about the opponent. Dalvin is a good back. He does have some really cool traits that we're going to have to deal with that are similar to some of the backs that we'll see early in the season. So from that regard, we have not game planned that part of it. But to see how we match up and zone and man and all that stuff, it'll be a good evaluation, a good test for us.
Substitution patterns that you use during the first half of Sunday's game be similar to the substitution patterns you use during the regular season? Is it going to be a dress rehearsal in that sense?
Changes week to week.